The Nikon Z8 changed the game, and there is no debating that fact, because it was the baby Z9 we all begged for. A camera so powerful it made the competition sweat. But in the world of tech, if you're not moving forward, you are dead, and whispers are already starting. With Nikon acquiring Red Digital Cinema and Sony pushing global shutters, the question is not if a Z8 Mark II is coming, but how insane it will be. Welcome to TechVibe. Today we are looking into the crystal ball at the camera that could end the mirrorless war, and you are going to want to stay until the very end, because one specific leak feature might just make you sell all your current gear. The Nikon Z8 is currently widely regarded as perhaps the most complete camera ever made, often called the Goldilocks of the camera world because it has the perfect size, the flagship power, and a price tag that, while high, still undercuts the big dogs. So why are we already talking about a Mark II? Because the technology curve just went vertical. To understand the Z8 II, we have to look at two things, which are the upcoming Z9 II and the elephant in the room, which is Nikon's acquisition of Red Digital Cinema. This was not just a business move, it was a signal. The Z8 is already a video powerhouse, but the Z8 II is likely where we see the full integration of RED's proprietary color, science, and compression. Let's talk about the sensor first, because this is where the battleground is. Currently, the Z8 uses a stacked CMOS sensor, which is fast and brilliant, but Sony has introduced the global shutter to the mainstream with the A9 III. The big debate right now among insiders is whether Nikon sticks with a high megapixel stacked sensor or makes the jump to global shutter for the Z8 II. Here is the authentic take. Expect Nikon to double down on the stacked design, but with a massive leap in readout speed. While global shutter is cool, it currently sacrifices dynamic range and high ISO performance. Nikon's philosophy has always been image quality first, so we are looking at a potential 50 to 60 megapixel stacked sensor that is so fast the concept of a mechanical shutter becomes a distant memory. We are talking about readout speeds that allow for flash sync at any speed without the noise penalty of current global shutter tech. This would give landscape shooters the dynamic range they need, and sports shooters the speed they crave, effectively silencing the shutter. Debate forever, but here is where it gets interesting for the filmmakers, and this is the red effect. The current Z8 shoots 8K sure, but the Z8 II is poised to introduce internal REDCODE RAW. Imagine shooting legitimate cinema-grade R3D files internally in a body the size of a Z8 with no external monitors and no massive rigs, just you and a camera that rivals an Arri Alexi. We also expect the thermal management to be completely overhauled. The Z8 is great, but physics is physics, and the Z8 II will likely feature a new passive cooling heat dissipation alloy potentially derived from the Z9's chassis, allowing for unlimited 8K 6OP recording. This is crucial because currently is the only thing holding the Z8 back from being a true cinema camera. Now let's talk about the brain of the camera. The Speed 7 processor is a beast, but AI is moving faster than silicon. The Z8 II will likely introduce a dedicated AI coprocessor. Right now, your camera can recognize a bird or a car, but the next generation, which we are calling Deep Intent Focus, will not just track a subject, but will predict movement based on skeletal structure. It sounds like science fiction, but the patents are there. Camera will know a sprinter is about to launch before they even move a muscle. This is not just autofocus, it is This kind of computational photography will also likely trickle down into low light performance, allowing the Z8 II to clean up noise in real time before the file is even written to the card, giving you usable images at ISOs that were previously impossible. We also need to discuss the ecosystem. Z8 II will not just be a standalone tool, it will be the hub of a new workflow. With Nikon's recent push into cloud authentication for photojournalists, the Z8 II will likely feature built-in content credentials hardware. For our pro audience, this is huge. It means your images are digitally signed at the moment of capture, proving authenticity in an era of AI-generated fakes. It is a feature that does not scream cool specs on a box, but it is essential for the future of professional photography and ensures your work retains its value. Let us address the one thing everyone complains about, which is the card slots. The Z8 rocks a SFexpress and an SD slot, which is a safety net, but for the Z8 II. If they bring in those massive red video codecs, do not be shocked if Nikon moves to dual SFexpress Type B slots. Speed is the new currency, and SD cards are becoming the bottleneck. It is a controversial move, but for a mini flagship it might be necessary to unlock the full potential of the buffer. And what about the viewfinder? The blackout-free EVF on the Z8 is lovely, but the resolution is starting to look average compared to the competition. The Z8 II demands a 9 million dot EVF with a 240 Hz refresh rate. When you look through the glass, you should not feel like you are looking at a screen, you should feel like you are looking at reality. That immersion is what separates a good camera from a great one. We also expect the rear screen to finally adopt the fully articulating mechanism that feels sturdy enough for professional abuse, fixing the fragile feeling of the current tilt axis dot. we also have to look at the timeline. The Z9 II is expected to drop likely in time for the next Winter Olympics cycle, and the Z8 II usually follows about 12 to 18 months after the flagship tech is established. So while you should not sell your Z8 today, you should absolutely be watching what Nikon does with the Z9 II later this year, because that camera will be the blueprint. If the Z9 II gets a global shutter, the Z8 II gets it. If the Z9 II gets 16-bit RAW video, the Z8 II gets it. The Z8 II is destined to be the camera that democratizes the absolute highest tier of imaging technology. Nikon is no longer playing catch-up, they are setting the pace. The Z8 was a home run, but the Z8 II is looking like a grand slam. It represents the convergence of still photography heritage and cinema future. It is not just a tool, it is a statement that Nikon intends to rule the hybrid market for the next decade. Make sure you are subscribed to TechVibe, because the second we get confirmation on the sensor specs, we are dropping a full breakdown and you do not want to miss that. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.